Hello. Welcome back to Camp Takeover. Thank you. Next up on Camp Takeover, we have Naomi White, LA-based visual artist and photographer. I'm gonna invite her in. Naomi is a photographer, visual artist who also teaches in the photography department at the New York Film Academy and at UCLA. We're just going to be continuing our conversation about what 2020 has been like, plans for 2021, moving into the new year, lessons that we've learned, exciting projects coming up. We're just waiting for Naomi to come into the live. Just gonna try to invite her in. My plans for tonight, I'm actually back home visiting my family. I'm not in Miami right now, so I'm lucky enough to be hanging out with some of my high school friends who I never really get to see. It's just gonna be 3 of us. We're gonna order some food, maybe watch some TV, just keep it chill. Bed by 12:30 most likely. We're just waiting for Naomi to come in. My own resolutions, I'm not really one to usually set them. I'm just looking to really hold myself accountable as I graduate college and try to really stay focused on my own professional endeavors and just working really hard, taking the lessons that I'm sure we have all learned from 2020 into the new year. If anyone else wants to write and share their own New Year's resolutions and their plans for 2021 into the chat. Sorry about this. I'm not sure why she... Oh, okay, perfect. It looks like she just joined, so here we go. Hi, Naomi.
Bella, I'm so sorry. I had the wrong time zone.
Oh, it's no worries. That's my fault as well that I wasn't clear enough. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. Oh my God, it's almost over this horrible year.
Yeah,
I can't wait. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So you're excited for the year to end?
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Next. Yeah, it was a
Um,
year.
yeah, I'm sure it was so tough for everyone. I mean, that's my first question. I just wanted to start off our conversation. How are you doing and how was 2020 for you? And, how were you affected by the circumstances of the year?
Yeah, it was tough. I teach and I chair the photo department at NYFA, and it's been a lot of worry and concern about students. Just a lot of hand holding and reaching out and making sure everyone's okay. A lot of emotional intensity all around. Um, and I think in one way it's good that they're in school because then they can focus on something. But it's also been really hard to,
Yeah.
you know, demand things of them in this crazy moment. So I
How it's been like being, like you said, like being an educator for others and I'm sure being something that a lot of people confide in and come to. Have you been having to bear the burden of that, or how has that been?
Yeah, there's been a lot of right, like having to be vulnerable and be open and spend a lot more time getting to know students and being there for them. And then had a lot of my team furloughed, so we were, been working with fewer people. I think in general, everyone's been amazing, which is really inspiring. All the faculty just redid all their syllabi and made everything work online. And, for the most part, all the students are hanging in. But yeah, there's a lot of check-ins. There's a lot of, like how is everybody feeling? A lot more than usual, because we all just need that, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely really important. I'm also a student, so I had to deal with a lot of that as well. And I think just being, were you completely virtual? Were your class
Yeah.
on completely virtual?
Yes.
That work with, teaching photography and giving students assignments? Did they have to do at-home assignments, and how did that affect their work?
Yeah, I made them packages that they could come pick up lighting gear, and then they would work from home. Yeah, and that would just be like picked up in the lobby, all safe space, and then they would go home. And yeah, I have a studio. I'm very lucky that way. So I was able to teach lighting there and help them, set things up and do demos and stuff. But a lot of teachers were like in their kitchens or,
Yeah.
in their living rooms. And yeah, it's definitely been tricky. But yeah, people got what they needed to complete their assignments, and they really, yeah, came through
Cool.
it's amazing, like, all these creative ideas that we're still able to come out and make a difference. It's kind of,
Totally.
what are you studying?
I study engineering, actually.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, I study industrial engineering, and that was definitely tough, being completely virtual, getting in touch with professors. It was definitely a completely different experience. I think that my professors did a great job of, like you said, being a resource, extending their hand, um, and really like going the extra mile for their students in such a difficult time. And I think it's like, I'm so grateful to educators all over. And like, I'm sure there's just so much, educators are so important, especially in a time like now. And it's so nice to know that they have your best interest at heart.
Yeah, always. I mean, that's the joy of teaching, is like connecting with people that are like-minded and interested in the things you're interested in, and helping that kind of conversation develop. So without the students, there's
Yeah.
what do you have? Yeah.
So now, flipping the conversation onto yourself, what are some lessons that you learned in 2020, and how are you planning on taking those lessons with you into the next year and applying them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that I realized that for the most part, we have everything we need. like we, you know, are not needing to make art from, you know, other things. Like I particularly tend to make art from trash and like scavenging things. But I'm always like needing to get extra, you know, you need paper, you need, you know, printing out things or a printer. And I just was able to like make do with a lot of things in this moment without that. And I also just felt like, idea wise too, I've been able to read a lot more and research and kind of just get ready. And I think the main lesson is like going slower and not feeling so rushed and not feeling like you have to push everything out right away, that things need to simmer a little bit. And
Totally. Yeah, that's interesting you say that. There was, this is kind of just a random tidbit, but there was this really cool concept that I like kind of came across the other day. It's this Hebrew word, and it's called Selah. The word is Selah, and the meaning behind the word is to ask the viewer, and they use it in music, they use it in text, and it's to ask the viewer to pause for a second and reflect on what was just presented to them. And it kind of like insinuates this idea of, I think a lesson for all of us in 2020 is that we move really fast, and we are like, a lot of images are in front of our faces and news and words, and things can kind of get lost in translation and like lost in these giant abyss. So it's like really important to just take a second, ingest, digest, think about things deeper than just like fast, fast, fast all the time. And like, I completely agree. That's something that I've learned too, is just to slow down, because you can really like dissect things more than what I think we were working at a pace before all this hit, and kind of force us to take a breath. So
absolutely.
learning as well, that I think is super important.
Yeah, I feel like that is so real. And just like thinking about the Anthropocene and like the way that capitalism has made us kind of up until now not able to stop these
Mm-hmm.
giant forces of technology and, you know, oil and extraction and all the things we're doing that are polluting our planet. And now that we finally have slowed that, and we see the effects in like nature taking, you know, it back and trying to start healing, it's definitely a very important moment to grasp and like learn from and think about how we can apply that to other things and hopefully make some really needed changes.
Yeah. So talk to me about like, talk a bit about your relationship with, I know that your art, touches on consumerism and environmentalism. Talk to me a bit more about your relationship with those types of concepts.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in political ecology, like the way that all of these elements converge around, you know, like there's the environmental movement, as wanting to save the planet is very much connected to the oppression of people, and particularly brown and black people and indigenous people. And that is not a soundbite. It's a very complex thing to kind of put your head around. And I think it often gets misunderstood, you know, how much those things are wrapped up together. And of course, capitalism plays this huge role because it requires some people to suffer and some people to be on the top, like just by its nature. So my interest in like the intersection of ecology and photography is really looking at how I can draw out those connections and, you know, thinking also about the ethics, right, of
Mm-hmm.
environmentalism. You know, like our hypocrisies in like loving dogs and cats and eating cows and things
Totally.
like that that are confusing and
Yeah.
you know, morally challenging. And I taught a course a few semesters ago that looked at some of the early kind of influences of that, which are very around Immanuel Kant, the philosopher. And it's interesting to kind of peel those layers back and start to think about where we got the idea that we were the center of the universe, like where we got the idea that people were the most important thing. and you know, when you look at it, you're like, oh right, yeah, we're we have to be as important as the planet and the animals. And you know, it's just funny because you don't really think about it. You just grow up thinking, well, it has to be humanity at the center of everything, and everything is here to serve us, but it's actually not.
Yeah.
So
I
there's a lot to figure out there.
yeah, I took I think it was last summer I took an environmental ethics class.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about I could be completely butchering this. Anthropogenic, I guess, just climate change or any sort of
Yeah, like the idea that humans are the center.
and
Right,
like
yes.
it back to like I think therefore I am, and humanity's interests and the human consciousness sits at the forefront of value.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm totally familiar with those concepts, super interested in that. And it's something definitely that you can ponder over, and things can kind of start to make sense. Like, oh, I can see why certain actions of humanity might be coming and derived from those like concepts. And
Yeah.
it affects like how society's built and how we interact with resource and how we interact with other aspects of like what we, and it's even weird to think like, oh, we call it the natural world, like we separate ourselves from nature,
Right.
like it's all
Right.
our nature. So yeah, that's
Right.
really interesting stuff.
Yeah, we are nature. It's just like the craziest thing, the way that, yeah, it's all evolved to not really value, you know, our environment at all, and
Mm-hmm.
where it's headed. So yeah, hopefully now where we're seeing these changes in the environment, we can take that lesson and make some really needed changes. The Green New Deal is very interesting. Like I don't know if you've read Naomi Klein's book on fire, but she kind of breaks it down, and it's related to the New Deal from FDR. And so it's like, oh, this is like that, but in a version that isn't oppressing other people, and it's like more holistic, and it's about, you know, making sure everybody gets their fair share. And
Yeah,
anyway, I hope some things like that can be taken seriously now.
me too, me too. If you next, okay, I want to ask you if you could give your 2020 one word, what would it be? And then if you had one word that you want to strive for 2021, what would?
Well, I guess I'm feeling incredibly grateful because, you know, I for my health and my family's health, and safety, and that I have a job. I know so many people are hurting, so I'm feeling very grateful. I guess that might be my word in a way, even though I also feel like telling 2020 a few, you know,
Yeah,
words. um, but 2021, I guess, I think we just need to stay active. We need to stay active in our organizing and in our activism, and feel like, you know, we can't go back to brunch,
well,
even though some things have shifted. We need to keep active and keep our voices loud, because otherwise, yeah, we lose our power. That's our superpower, our voice.
yeah, action. I like that a lot. Are you one to make resolutions?
Yeah, I tend to make them. I
Oh,
don't tend to keep them, but I like making lists, and you know, I'm gonna do, you know, piano every day, and yoga and meditation, and then yeah, fades. But the yeah, most of it stays. I'm actually learning Italian, so I'm like totally obsessed with Duolingo, and anyway, I have like all these little things that I'm trying to keep up every day. How about you? Do you make them?
I don't. I mean, I guess I make them in my head. And I have like, I don't know though. I think this year I should be more strict with myself. Not strict, but put a little bit more effort in trying to make a solution and make action to like fulfill it. And I totally like meditation for me is definitely something I need to work on. Because when I do it diligently and I'm waking up every morning and making the effort to just close my eyes for 5 minutes, I feel as though I'm just operating at a much better level.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I would agree. Like that's my number one thing that in terms of just like what can I do like in action, that's something I want to definitely hold myself accountable for. And then just yeah, I agree like gratefulness. I need to just practice gratitude because that's really all we have is our gratitude, like saying thanks to the universe and making sure to keep ourselves grounded and being appreciative of what we have.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Being appreciative of what we have, it's huge. I feel like right when the lockdown happened, I realized this kind of weight was lifted from me of like all these desires and wants and aches for things. They were just gone, like all those longings. It was just like pure gratitude. Like I'm just so glad I have all the things that I have and
Yeah.
people around me and my cat and my kid, my partner. It was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. And going back to what you said at the beginning is like we have everything we need. There's no reason to um you know be fighting the endless pit of I need this and I need that because you don't need it. Like in terms of like consumer goods.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
like this force that's so intense. It's like relentless. And
Yeah.
when you get out of it, you're like,
All the
ah,
time fast like yeah.
yeah, that constant desire for things. It's just
Hmm.
really doesn't do you any good.
Yeah. And I mean, then I go back and forth because it's like, well, those pretty earrings, and they make me feel like good. So I mean, at some time,
You do have adorable earrings, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it's just like, and self-care is so important.
Yeah,
But yeah, that overarching, like, trying to keep up with things. Yeah, there's just always going to be something else to get. And to free yourself from that, even if temporarily, it's very relieving and lets you focus on things that matter.
totally. And then wrapping it up, you got any fun plans for tonight?
Yeah, we're gonna go to our pod family's house and have some cocktails and Thai
Wait,
food.
what did you say? Pod family?
We have a pod family,
What
yeah.
is pod family?
So I have a 10-year-old and they have a 10-year-old. So the kids hang out and do school, and then we hang out, sort of every other weekend and just have some social time. Um,
Ew.
yeah, we wear masks and stuff, but it's nice to hang out and yeah, be with people.
What kind of cocktail are you gonna drink?
Oh, I have a lemon tree, so we've been making Corpse Revivers #2. Have you had those?
No.
So good. It's very lemony, very refreshing. It's got Cointreau and Pernod and I think some gin and lemon juice. And
Yeah,
it's just like the same amount of each of those, and it's divine.
that sounds amazing.
What are you doing tonight?
I am going to, so I'm back home. I'm from Philadelphia. So I'm back in Philadelphia. I am in my senior year of college, so I'm almost finished. So I'm going to hang out with my two best friends in the whole world from high school. We never get to see each other. And we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to sit on the couch and drink our cocktails and just,
Nice.
yeah,
Awesome.
some quality time with my girl.
Yay. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
huge.
thank you so much for talking today. I had so much fun meeting you.
You too. It's a pleasure. Thank you. And thanks for waiting for me.
Yeah, of course. And Happy New Year.
Thank you. You too. Here's to a better year.
Yeah.
Hooray. All right.
Bye.
Cool. Thanks, Bella. Bye.
Yeah.
And bye, Melanie. Ciao. Bye.